All right, so you're looking to launch a financial services firm here in the UK. Well, there's one huge hurdle you have to clear first: getting authorized by the Financial Conduct Authority, or FCA. Today, we're going to break down that entire process for you.
And let's be honest, trying to understand FCA compliance can feel like trying to read a different language. It's dense, it's complicated, and the consequences of getting it wrong are massive. But that's exactly what we're going to do today: cut through all that noise and give you a clear map to follow.
Right. And let's get one thing straight from the get-go. This isn't just a good idea or a best practice. If you want to run a financial services firm in the UK, getting the green light from the FCA is mandatory. It's the law. It is the single most important barrier to entry you have to overcome.
Okay, so before we jump into the how-to, let's really understand the challenge. What are you actually up against when you begin this journey?
So the whole thing really hinges on something called the Threshold Conditions. Now, it's so important to get this. These aren't just boxes you tick once. They are the absolute minimum standards you have to meet to get authorized, and just as critically, to stay authorized. The FCA is going to look at everything: your business model, your finances, who's in charge, everything. And this is the world you're stepping into, right? It's a place filled with jargon and acronyms where a simple word can have a very specific, very legal meaning. And in this world, getting the details wrong, well, that's just not an option. All right, so we've set the scene. You know it's a big deal. Now let's actually break down the application process itself and figure out what's really involved. Now get this, before you even think about hitting submit to the FCA, you're looking at a serious prep phase. We're talking a good 4 to 6 weeks just to get your application pack together. This isn't just filling out a form, it's a full-blown project that lays the groundwork for everything else. And right at the heart of that application pack is your Regulatory Business Plan, or RBP. This is way more than just a standard business plan. It's your promise to the FCA. It's where you prove you have a solid business that is designed from its very foundations to protect customers and the market as a whole.
Speaking of protecting customers, you have to get your head around the consumer duty. This is a relatively new rule that came in, and honestly, it's a total game changer. It's not enough to just avoid harming customers anymore. You now have to actively demonstrate that you are delivering good outcomes for them. Your application has to be built around this idea.
And then there's the SMCR, the Senior Managers and Certification Regime. This is where things get personal. It means the FCA can point to specific people in your company, your senior managers, and hold them individually accountable. This seriously raises the stakes for your entire leadership team.
Okay, so you've seen all the moving parts. But what does this all mean when it comes to time? And maybe more importantly, where do things tend to go wrong?
You know, the path your application takes really comes down to its quality from day one. And honestly, there are two very, very different roads you can go down. The difference is night and day.
So let's look at the best case scenario first. You've done your homework, your application is buttoned up, and it answers all the FCA's questions before they even ask. In that case, you're looking at the FCA's target timeline, 26 weeks. That's about 6 months. That's the goal.
But, and this is a huge but, what happens if it's not perfect? If there are gaps, if it's unclear, if it raises more questions than it answers? Suddenly, that timeline can literally double. You could be waiting up to 52 weeks. A whole year. Think about that. A full year with your business in limbo. The cost of getting this wrong is just massive. So why does this happen? Well, it's usually down to a few common mistakes. People just underestimate how complex it all is. They send in incomplete paperwork. Their governance structure looks a bit weak. Their business plan just doesn't seem realistic to the regulator. And a big one? Not properly thinking through things like conduct risk and the consumer duty. So that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do you make absolutely sure you're on that 26-week track and not stuck in the 52-week nightmare?
Well, for a lot of businesses, the smartest move is realizing you don't have to go it alone. And that's where expert help can be a total game changer.
This is exactly where a specialist firm like Compliance Consultant steps in. Look, they've been doing this since 2008. They've seen it all, they know the process inside out, they've watched the regulations change, and they know exactly what the FCA is looking for.
And you don't just have to take my word for it. Look at what their actual clients say. When you see phrases like smooth, fast, and professional, or that someone felt completely at ease with their expertise, that tells you everything you need to know. It's about getting it done right and without all the stress.
Okay, so let's pull all of this together. What does a successful path to authorization actually look like for you?
Well, one really smart way to approach this is with a fixed-price project. That way, you know your costs up front, no nasty surprises. That's a model compliance consultant uses, for example. And on top of that, they bundle in a bonus package of support and tools worth over 9,999 quid. That's some serious value.
So what do you actually get? Let's break it down. You're getting a whole year of their bronze retainer service. That's a £3,000 value right there. You get a whopping 50% discount if you want to upgrade to their gold retainer. That's another £6,900 in value. Plus, you get a library of compliance ebooks, checklists, the whole shebang, really.
Look, at the end of the day, getting FCA authorization is like navigating a maze. It's tricky for sure, but it is absolutely doable. The single most important thing to remember is that you don't have to, and probably shouldn't, do it alone. Getting that expert guidance means you can tackle this with real confidence.
So if you're ready to get this sorted and make sure you're on that fast track to authorization, the next step is super simple. Just click the link you see in the description below to get started.